In this video, we'll talk about child to parent communication using event bubbling. So in Lightning Web Component, we have two types of event propagation. First is the bubbles and the second is the composed. So bubble is a Boolean value indicating whether the event bubbles up through the DOM or not. By default it's false, so it means the event will not bubbles to the DOM. And their second property is the composed, a boolean value that indicates whether the event can pass through the shadow boundary, default it to false. We're not gonna learn about compose because compose has many drawbacks and I don't want somebody to use it. Okay, so you can achieve everything with a simple event and event with data. I don't even use bubbles, but it's good to know from the interview point of view what is bubbling. So I'll show you. We call it as property name is bubbles, but the phase is called bubbling. Okay, so I'll give you a basic example through this diagram. I created a button, click me. That button has a on click method. Okay, the on click event handler. Button has a parent div. Div has a on click, and that div has another div that has another method on show or something. Okay, so whenever your the child component is button and the if you see this two label, so this light shades and the yellow one are the child component and the dark green is the parent component. So if I click on the button, I just click on the button. If that button has any events on top of it, it means the parent element has any event that gets triggered, which means the event start bubbling. Bubbling means floating from bottom to the top, and it's calling all the events that are coming across while floating to the top, right? So that is called event bubbling. We already gone through a real-time example of event bubbling in a JavaScript section. Right, so this is how event bubbling works. So if X will trigger, then event bubbled, it called the second event, then it will bubble and it called the third event. And to do that, right, by default these are false, right? So while creating the custom event, along with the details, we have another property bubbles and the composed. If you make it explicitly true, then this process occurs. Okay, so that your event can float from bottom to the top. I'll show you an example for bubbling. We're not going to talk about compose. Okay, real time will never use compose. So let's go to our VS Code. I'll go into the same example that we have seen. So into the child component of the model, what I want is whenever I'll click the OK, I want to make this bubble true. So the options is bubbles. If I pass this property bubbles true, it means this event will bubble. Okay, so it event will go to the top of the page, and while going top, if anywhere it finds the event as a parent, it will call that event basically. Okay, to make that event bubble, to prove you, I'll create another event on top of the button. I'll say on click footer event. I'll say footer handler. I can say footer handler, and I'll print the console inside this method. I'll say console.log footer event called. Okay, so this button has a parent footer handler. Similarly, if this components completes, this component also has some parent, right? So what we're gonna do here is we'll go to the parent component. I'll remove this handler from here, and this component has a parent, let's say this div. I'll attach that event handler to this div. Okay, so basically I'm trying to achieve the same funda like button has a on click and on click, and the outer parent also has that some method, right? So now what will happen is as I change the property bubbles true, as soon as this event trigger, it will start floating from bottom to top. It will say who is my parent, footer has some on click, yes, call this. It will start going up. Oh, section is my parent, section has some click, no, just go up, it comes here. It will see who is my parent. Template has an event. No, it will go further. It will say div has some action. Yes, on close, call close handler. So as soon as it call the close handler, it close the R model. Okay, so let's deploy this and see if this works or not. So basically event bubbling is floating of event from bottom to the top. Okay, so let's go to a page, refresh the page. So I'll open the console as well because we want to see the event bubbling. As soon as I click the show model, it trigger the event. It will print the footer event and then it will go to the top as well, right? So now I'll click the button. So on click of OK, we are calling the custom event. So I'll click this button. It call the footer event. So in the console, you can see it's printing footer handle called. It called the custom event. That event will go to the top and it will strikes here, where it is here on close, that is attached to now on div, because we are not attaching any on close to our model component. It call this, it immediately call this event, it received the message as well as is close the model. So this is how all things floats, and this is how event bubbling works. So these are the three approaches that we discuss in the couple of lectures by which you can communicate from child to the parent. So I hope this was pretty helpful for you guys. I'll see you in the next video.